All right. Just finishing up our setup here. All right, so it's a little early. I think it's not quite 8:30 yet, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit before that.
A little bit before that. So we're going to just chop it up a little bit until we get to actually 8:30 because that's the official time this whole thing gets together. So, it's funny. I was thinking a lot about doing a podcast for a long time. And it wasn't until really my wife kept, we talk about accountability all the time. And my wife was like, you keep talking about this. Like, why aren't you doing it? And I sat down and I was like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. So finally, I was like, you know what? I need to shut the hell up and actually put this together.
Make it happen.
Yeah, because I think the problem that I had was part of the live is it helps me to keep accountable because I can't just I'll record it later. I have to be here at 8:30, right? Because this is the time of the thing. So it's just funny how this whole thing came together, and this turned out to be just perfect.
On those 2 points, I love the lives because I used to use that for my open houses.
Okay.
To the same extent, I was getting to be so consistent, because I would do open houses every weekend.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh, I'm gonna do it live. So then if I ever miss a week, someone would be like, hey, you doing an open house or?
Oh yeah, what's going on? What's happening?
Yeah, and I was like, people are watching the live.
Yeah, which is cool.
It's so funny you talk about this because obviously I've been here for a little while.
Yeah.
So when I first started, I used to read these, and I even took a video just before we got started because these are basically affirmations. These are quotes to live by.
Yeah, it's cool. And I thought this would be perfect because we're going to be talking real estate, but a lot of it is going to be our business in real estate, and this is all very much I guess it's a combination of business and life. You know what I mean? So I thought this was appropriate.
It's funny you say that because obviously we all watch shows and all that good jazz. So one that I recently got caught up in was the Ryan Serhant on Netflix.
Okay.
Owning Manhattan.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, you should definitely watch it. Definitely check it out.
Okay.
It's a little bit more of the glamorous real estate, right? But
that's typically what you see on TV.
Yeah, of course.
That's everyone thinks that all real estate agents are millionaires.
3 shows and then they get a Bentley.
Yeah. If only.
There was a thing basically. One of the agents from Serhant had said that it's not really a work-life balance because the balance is work and work is life. It becomes one thing.
Oh yeah.
And it's not so much that you let it consume you, but it's just as a business, and especially I don't know about teams. I imagine just in real estate generally.
Yeah.
When you do start that business, it becomes who you are. It becomes part of your identity. So you kind of become one.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
So you're saying work becomes who you are, a part of who you are, I guess.
I would say more so identifying the values of who you are in business also ends up aligning with who you are in life, right? Because I think it's just only human that your identity should align throughout the different facets in your life.
Yeah.
Businessman, businesswoman, whatever the case may be.
That's interesting that you say that because that's I think that's the way that it should be, but I think there are a lot of people that are in business that don't recognize that, and they're one person for business and they're another person for life. In the productivity coaching classes that I do, I talk to a lot of agents that go through the program, and from time to time, and it actually happens. I say from time to time, but it actually happens pretty often. People think that they have to present in a I guess what they perceive as professional, but it's outside of who they are. I had someone who was just kind of dressing up in a way that they wouldn't normally dress up personally. Yeah. And it's not to say that you want to come in flip-flops and shorts because that's how you're comfortable, and that's because obviously that's not professional. But putting things on and I guess, coming in a way that doesn't represent who they are. Like, if I dressed up in a certain way, like if I came to work and I was in a super straight, like, suit and tie, and that was my everyday, like, and then I came home and then I changed and looked like this, like, obviously what I'm doing at work that's not who I am, right? But this is how I dress, so this is how I present myself to the world. Now, I can fine tune this up to make it a little bit more formal, and then I can tone it down to make it more casual. But generally speaking, I'm just bringing the volume up and down more than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I find that there are a lot of agents that, like, they kind of put on a persona for work, and then they have a completely different persona as, like, who they are, and then they find themselves stressed all the time. And I think the problem is that their stress is coming from all the work they're putting into being this person that's not them. You know what I mean? Like, imagine trying to be like an actor all day long.
I would be a liar if I said that I didn't go through that.
Of course, yeah, we all go through that. Yeah.
You see, if you ever see my first, like, a business headshot or whatnot, like, I'm over here, suit, tie, coat, like the whole 3-piece. And don't get me wrong, it's not that that's not who I am, because just like you said, we turn that dial, to, accordingly. And so, I mean, I still dress up. However, I'm not like that every day.
Yeah.
I don't also, like, I know sometimes people see me in the office and I'm like, I'm in jeans, I got my slides on, I got a t-shirt. And they're like, what the heck? The beautiful part about real estate, and honestly, this is more so like in sales in general,
right,
is that it's almost like success. We don't all have the same picture of success. And when it comes to the clients in the industry, they have a different picture of what type of agent they want and who they want representing them.
That makes sense.
And so when you force yourself to come in and because when you're, don't get me wrong, there's one thing to grow into a different person and to grow in and progress, but when you come in and you present yourself as one thing and then it doesn't align with who you really are, your values, one, people see that instantly.
Yeah.
Two, it's like you said, people get burned out from that because you're putting up a facade.
It's a lot of work to do that.
Yeah, it's so much smoother. Like you'll match with the people. People will resonate with who you are. For sure. And then that's how you build those relationships. Because at the end of the day, real estate, it's really a relationship based.
Business. Absolutely. It's a people business. Yeah.
And you got to be able to resonate with the right people. You know what I mean? And I might be the right agent for one client, whereas somebody else isn't, and vice versa. And that's okay. That's the beauty of the industry that we're in. And that's also like why I believe there's like an abundance in this business, because there's just so many different people. There's so many different avenues that you can go down.
Yeah.
And it's just all about what you resonate with and how you deliver that.
That's good. That's good stuff. If you guys are just joining us right now, my name's Gus. This is the Ortiz Anomaly. I'm here with Jon Hernandez with KW, and we're chopping it up, talking about real estate. Typically we get into all kind of stuff. Real estate usually is the top topic. Sometimes we might touch on the economy, but we'll get into other stuff. We'll kind of figure it out. So I appreciate you guys joining. If you like, please make sure you like, share, tell people about it. We're here every Friday at 8:30. So I wanted to talk to you because, you are kind of, you have this sort of air about you that is this very sort of like, I'm not sure how to describe it, right? You're always kind of relaxed and chill. And then like, you have these moments of like you're kind of bouncing all over the place. But then, you kind of always kind of come back to this sort of like you settle, right? In your opinion, like what do you think drives like your mood at work? Because I kind of see, sometimes you're super chill and then sometimes you're bouncing off the walls, and like what drives that for you?
Yeah. You'll catch me saying this a lot, but one of my biggest things about sales is I know about personality types and psychology. So obviously I apply that to myself in my own analysis. Yeah. I'm very much about self-growth, so I like to identify opportunities within myself.
Okay.
And so when you catch me being like all over the place, like, that's my natural being. That's just my natural personality. So
okay.
I'm what you call an expressive. So if I'm mad, you're going to be able to tell. If I'm happy and over the moon, you're going to be able to tell.
I gotcha.
You know what I mean? So that's me. I would say more so my natural state.
All right.
And here's the beauty is that between the different personality types, you can like cross over between the different personality
For sure.
types. And so I've learned that being obviously a businessman and like an entrepreneur, you have to learn to really be able to play those lines and know what personality to do at what times. And so there are times where I'm a lot more quieter and I'm a lot more reserved. Those tend to be the times where I would say I'm basically in my analytical state. Analytical state for me is not something that comes natural.
I see.
That's why for me, you're gonna catch me in those moments where I'm kind of a lot more quieter and I'm studying the room.
I see.
Because I'm taking everything in and I'm just analyzing it at my own pace and dissecting it from my own understanding.
Yeah.
Especially like in the environments like in this office, I think we get a lot of opportunities to be around diverse mindsets, and also just diverse experience sets because we got like some really top producers.
For sure.
And it's just interesting to get anybody's take because everybody has a different angle, right? It's funny, it's like last night or the night before last, I was in the gym. I frequent the gym. I'm not gonna say like I'm a powerlifter or anything like that. I hit the gym.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good understanding of how to build muscle, how to target certain areas. And so the reason I bring this up is because I had my girl with me. We were doing one of the exercises I don't really like doing, but it was a tricep exercise corded, right?
Yeah.
And so long story short, we were at the jiu-jitsu gym and one of the instructors there, they just made a recommendation for an improvement as far as how to hit the position a little bit better. I didn't, like, I'm open-minded, I was quiet, I listened to the input, I tried it out, everybody has a different angle and you can always learn something from somebody else.
Yeah.
And I'm really just a big believer in like the quickest way to be successful is to find people that are already doing or have done what you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
And just shut up and listen. Just be around them.
One of the things that, and you hear about this all the time. So, you're the average of like the 5 or 7 people that you hang around with, or what, you know what I'm saying?
My mom told me that since I'm very young. Very young age.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting, right? It's like it also like that type of thought process is I think can sometimes be a challenge, right? Because when we go through life, you meet people and sometimes you click with people, and sometimes the people that you click with are not the best people for you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to I guess discern like who is going to be a good person to be in your like in that circle versus people that you want to like say, I want you guys, I need to have some kind of a arm's length distance from you because it's not healthy for me to be hanging out with you on a regular. And then you have the other components, like that's just that's like mental health elements. But then you also have the, I want to be more successful. So then you want to then surround yourself with people who are more successful. And sometimes you have acquaintances and friends that are not necessarily successful in the way that you want to be. It's not to say that they're not successful. They're just not successful in the way that you want to be. So then what do you do? Like you then have to like try to surround yourself with people who are successful in the way that you want to be. You got to be around them enough that they become sort of your close friends, and the person that you're sort of emotionally like friends with, you kind of put them at a distance. And that's a really, I would say that's a challenging dynamic, because you may have someone that you truly care about, but you know that maybe their mindset is not in line with what you want to do, like from a success perspective, or they have drama in their lives that is really, and they don't know how to handle it in a way that's going to be healthy for them, and that can bleed over to you. Some people are takers, you know what I'm saying? You've heard this before, right? Some people are givers, some people are takers.
I'm a giver. I mean, to be 100, I resonate with that so much, and it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about as far as like, you have to understand what it is that you want, and when I say it goes back to it, it's like, this is why you can't be fake. Like, you can't present something and not be who you are. Because going back to like that rule of 5, once you identify like what it is that you want out of life,
Yeah.
that's when you can realize, okay, hey, yeah, this guy might be my friend. I love when we chop it up or when we're good. But the things we do when we're together at that moment may not help me with my future goals.
Right.
May not help me grow. I'll tell you the truth. There's 3 areas that I wake up and I focus on every day. That's gonna be fitness, finance, and family. All these areas I have like a little mindset is like limitless.
Yeah.
Right. Because I really believe that anything is possible.
Yeah.
And so in these 3 areas is very I think it's very easy. I'm not gonna say it's very easy, but it is very easy to be able to measure the success, progress, and growth in these areas.
Yeah.
Finances are obvious.
Yeah. There's numbers.
Numbers. Are you making more money? Or are you keeping more money? A lot of people think, oh, I got to make more money. It's not just about how much you're making, but how much you're keeping.
Yeah. It's your net at the end of the day. Yeah.
How much is left in your pocket?
Right.
When it comes to fitness, it's pretty much a numbers game too.
Yeah, it's gains.
Yeah. Last week you benched 150,
right.
200. What are you benching this week?
Right.
And then when it comes to family, even though that's not a numerical metric, I've seen the progress, like with my son, with my girl. When you're able to strengthen these relationships, like you'll be able to feel and you'll be able to see a difference in the communication. And the environment that you're in. So much of that stress that you used to have just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You learn the people that should be around you or not. Because when you learn to develop relationships, you also learn what relationships benefit you and what relationships don't.
Yeah.
And it's going back to like, okay, hey, does this relationship really help me get to where I want to be?
Right.
Financially, business wise, whatever.
Right.
And then you're kind of able to also kind of filter out people.
What's interesting about that is like, as it relates to family is, the stronger, at least for me, this has been my experience, the stronger my relationship has developed with my wife and my kids, like the easier it's become for me to be better, right? Because I feel like it's not to say I don't have stresses with family, but whatever stresses that are happening, like the better my relationship is with them, the more I feel supported, even if we're not aligned because we just have a disagreement or something like that. Like I know that that's a temporary thing that we just got to work through, but at the end of the day, like when the rubber hits the road, like I know that my family's got my back, and that if I needed, I know my wife's there for me, I know my kids are there for me, you know what I'm saying? And the building up of that relationship really helps, because my goal is to really do everything I can to be there for them. And I hope that they see that, and I try to do stuff so that they see that. But I mean, it's hard to show that, right? You just go to work and you're doing the things, the grind that you do, and then making sure that you have that time away from the grind that's dedicated to them. So just like you dedicate time to your work, like I made it. I found that I had to make a conscious effort to dedicate time to my family, because when I first started, I have a tendency of being a workaholic. So and my thought process was, well, if I just work enough, I'll make enough money that my family will feel more secure, and they'll see the what I'm bringing home, and that will be a big part, like they'll understand. But then what I found out is that they didn't understand. Like I was just a way. That's all they saw. You know what I mean? So I had to change, because it was really impacting my family. And when that changed and I was able to see the strength in the family dynamic that I had, that really made a difference in my business. It was surprising. I didn't realize how those two could connect.
You gotta remember, sales is a transfer of emotion, right? So anytime you feel any source of turmoil, whether it be from finances, family, whatever the case may be, it's gonna pour into your business, sadly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why mindset is really important. Relationships are really important. Who you have around you in your environment is important. Going back to the whole family thing, I think it's beautiful, because going back to how it's measured, at least the way I measure it, is you can tell from like the strength of the relationship when it gets stronger. Your family will kind of like start to agree, or they'll align with the values because they'll see the values that you're representing, right?
Yeah.
And so the reason why I say that is because it's like, for instance, my son, I've always encouraged him to be active. I've always just wanted him to be in something that's challenging and that helps him grow. So that's always been sports. And for me, like, I gotta say, I'm proud in the fact that I feel like the morals that I have both in business and also personal, I see that, like, he's taking it in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's hearing you.
He's hearing
Yeah.
like, I've always told him, I'm like, bro, you can do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. I've had him in soccer, I've had him in football, I've had him in jiu-jitsu, now he's doing basketball. And if it was up to me, he'd still be doing jiu-jitsu, but it is but you know, I'm always grateful to see that, because I feel like early on, I had my son when I was 17, so it was definitely something I had to learn. I don't think I had the basics down as a young father.
Sure.
However, when I learned, you know, what I wanted to do, learn how to build those relationships, I felt like he was more receptive of what I was trying to preach, what I was trying to live. And now it looks like that's who he's also becoming, and that's a great feeling. To me, I don't care like about him winning or losing. What I care about him when it comes to the sports is his consistency and his commitment. And like, I've seen him across several different sports commit himself and grow. And I think, like, as a parent, like, that's the best thing you can ever want to see.
Absolutely.
For kids. And like, even this weekend, like, last weekend I saw him play basketball. Like, I'm not trying to brag, but like, he carried his team.
Nice.
Offensively, defensively, like, he was doing his thing, and especially like knowing where he started to where he's at today. Like, it's undeniable. Like, the growth has been there. And it's funny because at one point, like, I even had to ask him. I'm like, yo, like, who's teaching you this stuff? Because I was like, I know his mama ain't teaching him. I'll take him to the court, you know, when I got time, but it's like I'm teaching him like all this stuff. So I'm like, where are you getting this from? And he's like, YouTube. He's like, I'm watching videos on it. And I'm practicing it.
That's awesome.
And to me, I'm like, bro, like that shows a certain level of commitment. Like, he's taking the initiative. Like, he's looking for that information.
Right.
And then he's practicing it, you know?
He's seeking it out. That's
so
awesome.
I'm like, like that's, and I believe that in business too, you know, because with real estate, like, there's never, I was talking to somebody from a title company yesterday, but like, I've been in business 6 years, and there's never been one deal that's exactly the same as the other.
Oh, for sure.
There's always like some caveat or some roadblock that you hit, and you're like, I didn't even know this could be a problem.
Right.
Like, all right, man.
That's funny.
Yeah, you gotta adapt. You know?
Right. Well, talking about adapting, like, because real estate right now, there's obviously a lot of challenges. But just in general, away from like what is happening today in real estate, like as a business, what do you feel has been like one of the biggest challenges that you felt you faced in building your business? You know, because I mean, you know, it seems like now you've kind of gotten to a groove and you're starting to stabilize and stuff like that, which is great. You know, like what do you feel has been one of your biggest challenges to overcome, and how do you feel like you overcame that challenge, or you're overcoming that challenge? Obviously that could be an active thing that you're doing.
I would say really there's just been two things, and I think these are probably the two things that everybody really struggles with at the end of the day. When you get down to like the root of it, it's going to be consistency and mindset, and it kind of goes off one off the other, right? So as far as consistency, everybody always has an opinion, and don't get me wrong, like, we look for advice, we look for guidance, but everybody is always saying, hey, try this, try that, or I did it this way and I'm successful. And so a lot of times we all want to R&D, you know, we want to rip off and duplicate. Oh, well, he made $100 million and he was doing YouTube videos. Or, you know, he was a cold caller, but you know, he had 100 listings last year, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Right.
And that's cool. However, it also has to resonate with you, like those activities, how you're building your business. I basically, the first 2 years that I was in business, I was chasing that like a squirrel. I was just chasing that silver object, that shiny object. I was trying to see what works for me. And when I finally realized, because I've done cold calling, I've done open houses, I've done door knocking, I've done Facebook ads. For me personally, what I found is all of that really doesn't matter as long as you make a connection with somebody. When I say make a connection, like some people, like when you're doing some of those lead gen avenues, door knocking, cold calling, you're making outreaches to people who aren't necessarily open to even receiving a message. And so what I found is that I'm successful by tracking my numbers. I found that I'm successful with my sphere, right? But then we take a deep dive into my sphere. My sphere comes from all different places. People I've met at all these different avenues. People I know from my past life, from open houses. But what allowed that conversion was me being able to connect with them and build a relationship. So what I found is that I'm better off and I'm more consistent when I'm doing things that are relationship based, activities that are relationship based, community events. I did really good at door knocking. I'm a face-to-face type of person.
Yeah.
You know, I feed off of people's energies and stuff like that, which is easier to do when you're in front of somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And then even with that, I think the consistency ties back to mindset, because when you know you aren't being consistent, it's like you're not always feeling the best. Like, okay, well, maybe I didn't give my 100%. Maybe I didn't give my all. And then you don't see the results that you want. And then that leads you back into a discouraging place.
Right.
And then when you're discouraged, you don't even want to pick up the phone, or you don't want to make that contact, or you don't want to speak to anybody.
Right.
Because you're not even hitting your metrics.
You know, people talk about mindset all the time. And and there's some people who feel like mindset is like this fluffy nonsense, right? So like, it's not detrimental, right? Like either you do or you don't do a thing, right? And like even affirmations, some people are like, oh, affirmations are dumb. Like either you're going to be a certain way or you're not going to be a certain way. Like how it's a waste of time to go through that. It's witchcraft. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's jujubes, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what you mentioned it. So in your mind, like how does mindset really impact the way that you see yourself in your life? Because I mean, obviously mindset can impact, personal and professional and all kinds of stuff.
Something perfect is on this wall. Where is it at? Hold on. I think it's over here to the left. Okay, there you go. Right there, right to the right of the clock, bottom right. You get what you deserve in your imagination.
Okay. Talk to me about that.
So what I mean by that is basically simple. I'll try and make it scientific, because typically the people who don't believe in like affirmations and everything, if you don't understand the concept, or if you're unaware of it, then nobody believes in it. But here's the reason why affirmations work. And by the way, I do affirmations every day, and I do affirmations with my son, and I do them in the morning, right? Because you get what you deserve, you're entitled to. So basically, your mindset is key, because in your mind you have the RAS, which is what the reticulating activating system.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it looks for certain cues based off of what you feed your mind.
So let's real quick define that, because I'm sure there's going to be people who are like, what is the reticulating activating system?
So basically, it's like for instance, every time, let's say you got that dream car, right? Like I know one of our friends recently, he was dying to get a Tesla. So I bet you, once he realized he wanted a Tesla, all he saw was Teslas, or every Model X or Model Y or whatever. Every time it passed him, he caught it. Guess what? It was there the whole time.
Right.
However, because he locked it into his brain, hey, I want a Tesla, his reticulator, his RAS, started activating. And so now it started picking up on everything Tesla. Every Tesla commercial, every Tesla that passed, every time somebody wore a Tesla shirt, his brain picked up on it. And that's why a lot of times they're like, oh, I feel like the universe is sending me a sign. Sure, it is. It's really your mind is sending you a sign, but whatever.
However you want to see it, right?
Yeah. So the same thing is like when you tell your brain what to look for, it's going to give you that evidence. It's going to give you that proof of evidence, right? And so when you say your affirmations, I am successful, I am of value to others, your brain is going to start looking for ways throughout the day to prove to yourself that those statements are right. So for me, Today I choose success. Today I choose happiness. Today I'm of value to others. And today together we are limitless. That's one. That's like a little transition. Me and my son both say on that one, and then he goes into his own affirmations.
Nice.
So, yeah, mindset is 100% important, and that's why it's like, for instance, and this is why going back to like the rule of five and the circle, your environment.
Yeah.
If you surround yourself with people who believe that they can't do it, or that they're only destined to work like 9 to 5 or whatever the case may be, well, you're gonna be that fifth person or that sixth person because their mindset is going to impact your mindset,
right?
And it's like I was at the gym the other day and somebody was like, "Oh, I can't." I'm like, we're not allowed to say that. I'm like, because you can't,
Right. Well, what is it? I think I don't remember who the person who said it was, but whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I always tell people too. Like I was talking to this person, I'm trying to get them, to finish their workouts. And I told them, because I listen to podcasts, and this is going back to feeding my brain, feeding my, my intentions purposefully. But there's a couple things. One is that if you can do anything once, you can do it again and again and again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's repeatable. So if you're able to achieve something once, you can make it happen over and over. And two is like sometimes if you feel like you're having a hard time keep going, or you just want to give up, is tell yourself, I'm going to do it just for one more day, or I'm going to do this just one more time. And then you keep telling yourself that, and before you know it, your brain will see, hey, I keep doing this thing. I'm doing it one at a time, but I keep doing this thing. So maybe I can keep doing this. I can keep doing this.
I see.
You know what I mean? It's all about what you feed your brain, what you tell your brain to believe.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're right. Whether you can or you can't, you're right.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. All right. That's good. So what is where are you feeling? Like, do you have any specific goals for your business? Like, everyone, typically most people are like looking to like just continue to grow their business, make it bigger. Like, there are some people who just want to kind of get to a place where they're just like, okay, I'm good here, I'm able to cover my bills, and I have time for my family, and so on and so forth. Like, how do you see like the future of your business? Are you the type of person that just kind of wants to continue to grow your business, or are you the type of person that you want to get to a certain level where you feel comfortable, where your business is doing well, and then you can kind of split your time up now, or whatever the case may be, like whether that's to build a team or to do it on your own? Like, where do you see your business like going in the next, let's say, 5 years?
Yeah. So truthfully, when I first got into this business, I was thinking about success. And what I've realized is you need to stop thinking about success and think about significance, which is kind of basically talking about how you're going to bring value, right? Because what I've come to realize is that in order for us to close a transaction, or for us to make a deal happen, we have to deliver some type of value.
Yeah.
Whether that be you're a buyer's agent, you're negotiating for your client the best deal, you're negotiating below ask, or you're negotiating credits, or whatever the case may be. So the reason why I tied this back to this question is that at first I felt like I was kind of very vain. I was like, oh, I want to be that top producer in the office. I want to sell, like $100 million in real estate, whatever the case may be. Because I got into real estate for the money. We all watch these shows. They're like, oh yeah, I can make a couple $10,000 real quick. Like, and then what I realized is that the first year while I fell on my face, I was so worried about that money that I wasn't bringing value to anybody. I was just getting suited up and saying, hey, I can get you a house, or I can sell your house, but I wasn't really finding a way to leave an impact on anybody. And so going back to that, when you find out how to bring value to people, you're leaving your mark of significance, right? And so with my current position, obviously I'm a single agent. Moving towards the future, I want to basically create a team. I'm working already, I'm building a brand. I just recently released Limitless Lifestyle and Homes by Jon Hernandez.
That's awesome.
And so that's going to basically be my future. That's going to be the face eventually of my team. Okay. And so the long-term goal here is to be able to build out that team, Definitely because for multiple reasons. First, I want to be able to leverage. I think the idea of having a team is to leverage to get back your time.
Yeah, yeah.
You still want to be able to produce, and you still want to be able to earn. However, you're going to also need other people to help you to be able to keep climbing and keep growing.
Absolutely.
You know, on the flip side, the benefit to that is obviously you're gonna have more time to, you know, live the life you want.
Yeah.
So for me, that'll be more time in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
more time with my family, and you know, obviously hitting the metrics financially. Hopefully, be able to live a little bit more comfortable, be able to take more vacations, you know, things like that. To me, I found that, don't get me wrong, not that money is not important, but making memories and experiences that you're not going to forget,
Yeah.
is really what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not about the money. It's about the things you can do with the money.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love this idea of leverage that you mentioned. I think leverage is probably one of the most important things to understand as a business owner, and I think that this probably translates across, you know, all businesses, right? Like the ability to be able to that, I mean, that's what growing a business is. When you add other people, if you're hiring somebody, you're leveraging someone else, like with money. Like, hey, I have some money that I can now use as leverage so that person can take the time to do that with what I would have otherwise had to do, which is great, right?
This is where a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know specifically real estate agents, struggle, is their ability to leverage to like assign responsibilities to other people,
Mm-hmm.
to delegate basically.
Yeah.
Which is ironic, right? But unfortunately, that's something that's very crippling for agents, especially like solo agents.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that you have to learn to grow out of. Because I think it's vain. Like I said, I felt like I was very vain. I was gonna be a solo agent that did all this by himself.
Yeah.
Like, you're not. So going back to significance, building a team, you're helping one. You as the one building the team, you're gonna get leverage. You're gonna free up your time. You're gonna end up creating a higher volume, which is obviously gonna turn into a higher income.
Mm-hmm.
However, on the flip side, being of significance, the people that are on your team now, they're gonna learn from your experiences.
Right.
Because in order to build a successful team, you should have experience. You should have systems in place. You should have a surplus, basically, of business.
Right.
And so, in order to be able to have that, you're going to be able to pass on value to the people that are joining your team or
Right.
that are on your team.
Yeah.
You're going to show them how to fish. You know what I mean? You're not just going to give them the fish on a plate.
Yeah,
You're gonna
yeah.
Take them to the river and say, hey, throw that line, cast that line, put your hand in there, pull it up.
Yeah.
And then this way it multiplies and it scales and it gets to a higher level.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's ultimately my thing. My exit plan, I'll tell you 100, is I want to build a team. Eventually I want to build it out to, you know, was it the 7th level where I can kind of be hands off.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to basically build up an investment portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I feel like wealth is definitely transferable when you do it correctly. So long story short, investment portfolio through like a trust, be able to pass it on to future generations.
Of course.
And honestly, like I said, man, the biggest thing is like having those life moments. You know, I feel like I'm at a place now where I've found the person I want to be with for sure. And then also like my son, I would like to give back more. I felt like I was always working, going back to that workaholic thing from an early stage for him. So I just kind of want to free up that time, get some of my time back, and make the best of what I have left.
That's awesome.
You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now I want to kind of get into some of the things that are kind of happening in our world today, right? And there's a combination of things that are happening. One is what's happening in real estate, and then there's stuff happening in the world. But let's focus real quick on just this whole NAR settlement and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into the weeds, but I would be interested to hear, like, how do you feel the changes that are happening in real estate are going to impact your business in particular?
I mean, obviously we all have to pivot. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not one of those, because I know there's been agents that have been, and I was aware of this for a while, that they've been using buyer brokerage agreements for years.
Yeah.
And also, I do feel like there, obviously, even before the NAR settlement, there was clear benefits to it.
Sure.
And I think it also set a higher expectation of the client. Because you're setting the standards. When you set a standard, you're either asking that person to comply with it, which is if they agree to it.
Yeah.
If they don't, then they're gonna take a hike.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I feel like this is just another opportunity to present value, right? Because like I said, when you go in front of that person and you bring them that paper and you're getting them to agree to your terms, or let them know, hey, look, this is the cost for my services, for my professional services, and they agree to it, it's because they see value. You know, it's like when you go to the store, you're not going to go spend, the people going to Gucci, they're not going to go into Gucci and buy a shirt for $500 because they don't think it's worth it.
Right.
They're spending the $500 because in their eyes or in their mentality, that shirt is worth the $500.
Right.
So to me, if you're having problems getting, you know, buyer brokerage agreement signed, or, you know, you're scared to, it's because you don't know how to bring value. I mean, just from my years of experience, I feel comfortable enough to say, hey, my fee is, you know, X, Y, and Z, because I'm worth that much. You know? In the past, I've negotiated 20, 30. My last buyer, new construction, was $25,000 seller credit. It was a model home. They left probably close to $10,000 in upgrades from my negotiations. Screen enclosure, gutters, furniture that was, you know, the buyer wanted. Upgrades within the home, crown molding, accent walls, the light fixtures. They left all the light fixtures.
Right.
So these are all things where, if you understand where you bring value, you're not going to hesitate.
Right.
You're going to let them know, hey, this is what I'm asking up front, and this is what you can expect of me.
Right.
If you felt, you know, comfortable with that, let's work together. Let's, you know.
That's awesome.
Sign off.
You know, it's you know, one of the things that I think that a lot of agents are concerned about is, you know, so let's say, you know, the professional fee, you know, for service, you know, is, let's say $10,000, right? And for the average home buyer, that's a lot of money. And their home buyers are going to be fearful that they're going to have to pay an extra like $10,000 in addition to what they're already paying for down payment and stuff like that. And I think that what people forget is that the sellers, and I think in most cases, are still motivated to sell. And the customary thing to do is for sellers to cover that cost, or to at least be willing to negotiate that cost in the deal. And, you know, a lot of agents are thinking that the sellers are not going to have that motivation at all, and that the buyers are going to ultimately have to pay that, and that they're not going to want to work with those agents. Like, how does an agent convey to a buyer that has that concern? Like, if you were, like, let's say you had a new agent that was coming on to your team, for example, how would you, like, walk them through, you know, that particular concern where they feel like, well, how am I going to convince this person to be willing to pay? Because that's what you're saying. Like, hey, are you willing to pay $10,000 if we can't get it negotiated from the seller? Are you willing to pay that? How do you convey that as value? Like, how would you do that? And like, if I were coming onto your team, for example, and I had that concern, how would you convey that? Like, for me to be able to, like, express that to a potential buyer.
I think when it comes to being able to show value, provide value, one is going to go back to going back to being relationship based, because you should be able to, as an agent working with a client, you should be able to understand their why, like what's making them move, what's making them buy, and so the reason why I'm referencing that is because when you get that information, you're able to complete the story a lot faster than somebody else who's just winging it.
Gotcha.
You understand? You got to remember, every transaction, every deal, you're painting a picture, you're painting a story. So you got to understand the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. The 5 things that you need for a story. Yeah. So you got to get to the motivation. The same thing like with a seller currently. You know, people who lead generate, you know, for sale by owners. Yeah. That's always the first thing that they go after, because they need to understand what's triggering that person to sell. So this way they understand how to help that person. And when you figure out how to help somebody, that's how you provide value. Right. So one is going to be a really good consultation, understanding their why. And then 2 is being able to communicate or relay that back to them, saying, hey, I understand that this is your situation. I understand that this is how come you need to buy, and for X, Y, and Z reason, this is how I can help you get that done, and this is how come I'm worth this much, you know. And then also, I mean, keep in mind, is like I also personally. Don't get me wrong, it's like you said, for first time buyers, you know, a $10,000 commission on top of, you know, purchase price, down payment, all this stuff is, you know, probably gonna
it's daunting. Yeah,
it's gonna be a lot on them. However, also you gotta remember, maybe that's not the clientele you want to work with. Going back to who's your target clientele, who's your perfect audience, because I'll tell you, some people, $10,000 would be worth it to be represented.
Right.
It's like, for instance, even like with appraisals, I was on the phone with an agent in New Jersey yesterday. He told me appraisal came in like 25,000 short. He was kind of sweating it, and then when he finally spoke with the clients just paid the difference.
Oh wow.
Because why? Because they just wanted to make it happen. To them, it was worth it.
Yeah.
They saw the value, and so they paid it.
Yeah.
So again, going back to it, is just knowing how to provide the value, and then being able to communicate that back to the client, so this way they can understand that you guys are on the same page.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's funny. Somebody was asking me yesterday, is like, oh, like why, what separates you as an agent, or why would you be the best agent, you know, for me? Because I listen to you. It's all, when you work with me, it's all about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody wants an experience based on their needs.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. Very cool. Okay. Well, I think, you know, those are the things that I kind of wanted to chat with you about, just to kind of, you know, I appreciate you taking the time to come out and just have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
So on Instagram is at Jon Hernandez KW Realtor. On Facebook is Jon Hernandez Real Estate. And then of course you can always give me a call, 407-576-1081. I appreciate the opportunity, guys. Thank you. You had some great questions. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if I can ever help you with anything, give me a call.
All right. I appreciate you. All right. Hey, this has been the Ortiz Anomaly. Please like, please share, please comment if you have any other topics that you want us to cover, or if you have any guests that you'd like me to invite. I'd love to hear any of your thoughts. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I will see you next time. Peace.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was good.
I appreciate you, man.
For sure.
All right.
I think you did have some great questions.